Hello everyone, this is Tendo64, and I got this idea from Zatask from the Doki Doki Fallen Angel server, and today I'm going to be demonstrating how I made my soundtracks for DDFA, because you see, unlike him, and probably the majority of composers, I don't do it the normal way. I do it this really weird way that is just a hassle, and I thought it'd be interesting because of how dumb the method I use to make them is. So, I'm gonna be demonstrating today how I created Bad News, because I have the most files of that still available, except for the Audacity file, because I'm gonna have to still redo that, because I do delete all of my Audacity files, because this computer has 32 gigabytes of space, and by 32 gigabytes I mean 6, because that's actually how much it gives you when you first get it, so naturally I don't have enough space to keep those, because they are usually gigantic files. But I do still have the most samples and whatnot of that track, so I'm going to be demonstrating how I created it in particular. Okay, so it all starts with this crappy little piano app right here. The reason why I'm not showing you the app itself is because I do this on a very old Kindle device, and I can't screen record on that without rooting my device, which I'm not doing. But it's this app, and here's a screenshot. Looks a lot like this, and I screw around with the piano keys until I come up with a melody I like. Now, for Bad News, I actually didn't come up with the main melody and whatnot. For that, I actually came up with that on my own accord. But here's two parts of it were made out of me recording random little tidbits that I would use in my future compositions. Here's the first one that was recorded on February 3rd, 2019. Yeah, that's in a different key. See? That little thing? I ended up repurposing that for Bad News, and it's virtually unchanged except at a much slower speed and in a different key so that it fits with the song. This one's a little more different though. This one I changed up a little more for Bad News. It was recorded on Valentine's Day. That one is in the same key, but it's a little different because that one was written in 3/4 time. But because Bad News is in 4/4 time, it ended up adding another note to the end of each little part so that it fit in properly. Now, as for actual inspirations for the song itself, I took inspiration from two original compositions by a piano YouTuber as the name of Lucas King, which those two were his originals, Suicide and Goodbye. And you can tell I definitely took a lot of inspiration from this, so this is kind of a dark image. Alright, just 30 seconds there. You can tell I took a lot of inspiration from this track. The very ominous sort of piano and the higher notes and whatnot. I'm not good at music terms, if you haven't noticed. Another one I took a lot of inspiration from was Goodbye, which isn't quite as dark of a track. Yeah. Um, Lucas King is definitely a huge inspiration for me for a lot of my piano tracks. He's a really talented musician. Sorry. So if you like to listen to songs that like the stuff that's in the soundtrack of Doki Doki Fallen Angel or the Katawa Shoujo soundtrack, for example, maybe you should check out his stuff because his piano music is really calm and relaxing to listen to. Okay, now we get to the main part of this. I used MuseScore to compose the bass part of the song, the rough draft, and you can see this is the original MuseScore file right here. It sounds a little different in base MuseScore because I eventually take it and I start putting it in different sound fonts so that it sounds nicer. But I'll let you have a bit of an excerpt from the MuseScore version, and it'll sound a little different. Okay, I'm just gonna pause this just a second. I just realized this might be an older version of it because the pedal is non-existent in measure 8 for some reason. I thought I fixed that. Okay, carrying on. Sorry about that. Okay, that's enough. You get my point. Actually, quite interestingly, there was a different ending for this track. Let me go pull it up in the Discord because I overwrote the original. There was a different ending. It was a lot more boring and wasn't as good. But with the help of Tom Strike, was the one who helped me write the current ending to it. I'll go and we'll skip ahead to where I get to that. Okay, so this was the original ending to Bad News. It is dumber and more cliche. So here, let me show you. Starts out like it does normally. Just a second. Okay, listen to this. It's horrible. I hate it. Thank you, Tom, for allowing me to rewrite that because I do not like that ending at all, looking back on it. There's a much more unique chord structure in the final version. Now, for those who don't remember, because the original video for this has been privated since then, the current ending sounds like this. Well, kind of like this. It's in the MuseScore sound font, but the final one's in a different sound font. Yeah, a lot more interesting. I think it's a few measures longer, too. The next part of the process is to change the different instruments into different sound fonts. Now, for the piano, I do use SGM. It's a nice sound font. Okay, so apply. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go to the MIDI converter as soon as it responds. Okay. Okay. Oh, not start conversion. Okay. I'm a little scatterbrained because I'm not used to recording myself. So basically, I remove the different instruments within MuseScore, and I go and export different parts as MIDI or as OGG, depending on whether I like the MuseScore instrument or not. Bad News does continue to use the original sound font for the violoncello. Do I pronounce that right? And the pan flute. But the two music box channels also use the SGM sound font. So let's go look for Bad News. Let's take you can see I already have them. We take Bad News piano, we take Bad News bells, and we put those in and we start the conversion. Already exists. Overwrite. No, we're not going to, because I already have them. I was just demonstrating basically how I do that. Okay. Okay, what I do next, rather, is I go and I load all these different little segments into Audacity, and I'm gonna do open right now, and it's going to import all the things. Okay, we're back. It finished importing everything. Now, right now, everything is horribly out of sync because there's a little gap between the different segments of silence, and because of that, those are different for each one. For MuseScore versus the MIDI conversion parts, rather. So it's not gonna sound right at first, and also I have to tweak the volumes of everything. So to make sure that everything is equivalent, just a second. Okay, so I have this, so it tells me where to cut off the silence for the other parts, because if you see here, the MuseScore parts is the violin and the flute. And so I'm not going to know what part is the silence without it, because all of this is silence, right? You know, it doesn't play till later in the track. So this helps me to know where I need to cut off the silence for those parts so that it syncs well with the others. And we'll go here. Zoom in, and here we go, right about here. And move that a bit. I go to clip boundaries, we'll split. And that's where we're going to remove the part for the violin right here. Get rid of that. I just realized I might have added a piano twice, did I? Oops. I'm gonna have to check which one that is. I'm gonna do that off camera though. And for flute, we get rid of it. There we go. Okay, but now we gotta do that for the MIDI parts too, so that it doesn't have that. Go right here. We're gonna solo that so that it's the only track that plays. Actually, I think that's the musical part. I did say that I believe I have two. Guess I'm not doing that off camera. Yeah, there it is. Back then, nowadays I normalize it, so I'm gonna be normalizing this. I didn't do that back then, I just screwed around with this until it was right. So I'm gonna normalize this part for now because it's gonna speed up the process. Bad news, piano. Yeah, I have two. Stupid me. Yeah, there we go. Alright. So we gotta get rid of this imposter. I don't need you. Okay, so we're gonna have to, now we gotta go and find where the silence begins. Here we go. Silence ends, right about. Can you tell that I'm not good at recording my voice? I'm so awkward doing this and I keep making mistakes in my, grammar. So we are gonna get rid of that part. But first, let's make sure I get rid of that actually on the bells. Gotta find. There we go. I'm gonna zoom out so it's faster. There we go. Get rid of that. And get rid of that. Now it should be synced, but I do not believe that everything is at the proper volume yet. I'm gonna mute this because it's irrelevant. Okay. I'm gonna shorten each of these so that I can see them better. For some reason I am having trouble making this one smaller. Yes, we're not making it smaller, huh? Oh no, what did I do? Whatever, you know what, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so now we have to make sure everything is at the right volume. Okay, yeah, so if you see the bells in the, violoncello are absolutely overpowering the living hell out of that poor piano. So let's, lower these by a few decibels. The bells actually aren't that bad, because those are part of the MIDI conversion. I forgot to mention, the MuseScore samples are way louder than the virtual MIDI synth samples, and I'm not sure why, so I always have to adjust the volume. There's never really a point where it just all comes in a nice, neat little package, unfortunately. It's kind of annoying because I do not have earbuds. I mean, I have earbuds, sorry. I do not have a working headphone jack. So I have to do this out of the shitty speakers my computer has. That is very fun. Now you'll notice something. There's a few more things, and I gotta do some nice touches. Now that I believe everything is at the right volume, and if it isn't, we'll just say it is. Watch. Yeah, you hear that? This kind of cuts off really fast, so I will do a fade out, and we'll do a fade in for this one. I don't think it's going to be exact as the final track because I'm redoing everything, but you'll get the general idea of what I have to do, so it doesn't matter if it's exact or not. Alright, there we go. There we go. Is that an Ohio Sayori leitmotif I hear? Oh my, I wonder why that is. Oh dear. I wonder why that's in here. Oh dear. Something not so great. I just realized the reason why I fixed that is because I accidentally did a fade in. Alright, but that's it, basically. I think that's all I have to say. For that, that's basically at this point, I would, export this as an OGG. Except for one tiny thing, actually, I forgot. At this point, this is where I would do the cutoff. So we have to find the last instrument that plays, which is the piano. And right where this ends, we delete that, and to make sure that it loops properly, I would take this track and I would put it at the end temporarily to see if it sounds good. There we go. I don't think it sounds perfect, but you get the idea. Okay. Then I would export it as an OGG, and then we would have the song, and I would upload it to Minecraft Song Making. That's a great title. That's a really great channel name. And when I send in the rough draft, usually I get feedback from the other two musicians, so they can tell me what's improved. You already saw that the ending improved. And I remember, if I remember correctly, I changed a few other things. Like, I think the first time the violin was too loud, so I had to lower that. And of course I had to fix the ends because they came in too abruptly, so I had to do the fade in, fade out, and whatnot. And then when it was finally done, Noah would download it, and he would place it into his, whatever folder he puts all of his mod tracks into. And there we go. He has the soundtrack of Bad News for whenever he would like to use it in his mod. And, yeah, thank you for watching. I hoped that this was interesting. And I'm sorry for being all over the place for everything that I was saying because I'm dumb and I don't have a script for this because I don't know why I would script to this. So I'm just speaking off the top of my head and I'm not good at this kind of stuff yet. So, but anyway, thank you for watching this. I really appreciate being able to work for Noah and whatnot, being able to compose for his mod, and I really hope that you guys enjoy the soundtracks that I've created for the mod thus far. And thank you for taking the time to watch this.